So today I'm going to talk about basic video production for advocacy campaigns. And a lot of what you've learned over the last 2 days is going to feed into the learning that you're doing now. Why video? Why is video important for our advocacy campaigning? In fact, that's a question I'd like to throw out to the floor. Why do you think video might be important to advocacy campaigning? Please shout out, yes.
Thank you. I believe video shows exactly what you want to say to the community. Sometimes when you see the video, you can understand clearly. Yeah, it can show sympathy, any reactions, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other thoughts on the importance of video in advocacy campaigning? One here, I'll take one more.
I think I can say that not far as she said. I think video shows some vivid reality.
Okay, yeah. One more then, yep.
Most of the time, people are lazy in reading. They prefer video.
That's absolutely true. Thank you very much. Yeah, all really important observations. Here's a few thoughts that I have. Video tends to be very memorable, very impactful. When you think of the major news stories that have happened in your lifetime, do you remember the words that you read on the page or the visuals that you saw on the TV screen? Normally we remember in images, lots of us. It's also increasingly the lens through which we view the world. So if we are all engaging to a certain extent on social media and the internet, well, video is now 82% of all content on the internet. So if the internet is one of the ways in which we're consuming the world, then video is making up a large part of that content. It's not out of the realms of possibility to suggest that nearly all of internet content in future will be video-based. And so it's an important medium for us to understand as advocacy campaigners. From a charity or an NGO or a non-profit sector, has been proven in countless studies to drive engagement, to get people to engage with your messaging like all other, in more than all other mediums. And as my friend over there just said, it's also the lazy person's choice, because most people, if given the choice between text and video, will choose video, probably myself included. But it has to be the right video, and that's probably the most important thing that I can say about our session today, about all advocacy video. Video, for video's sake, is a waste of your time, your money, and your effort. An advocacy video does not stand alone. This is a quote I like to use quite a lot. I think it's my quote, but I might have stolen it off somebody else. An advocacy video watched by one person, but the right person, can be or will be more impactful than a video watched by 1 million of the wrong people. Quite often we get ourselves too tied up in viewing figures rather than impact. And that's something that I want us to think about today. Because today we're going to do a little bit of learning, a little bit of back and forth, but also we're going to do a practical exercise. We're going to get you out, get your hands on your phone kits, your microphones, and we're going to go and make some short videos today. That's why we're going to finish this session. So, what I wanted to say is when we think back to yesterday when we talked about media strategy, and Blaze as campaigning strategies, advocacy strategies, advocacy videos do not stand alone. They are one element of those wider advocacy strategies, okay? So as I say, we're not making them for video's sake, we're making them as part of a wider strategy. So when we're doing them, we have to, just like we're doing when we're doing advocacy strategies, we have to understand what we want to make a video about. We have to understand who our audience is, who we're trying to convince of a change, what our objective is. What language do our audiences use? What platforms do they use to consume their media? All of these things are crucially important when we're preparing to make videos. Ask yourself, at the end of this strategy time, is it worth making your video? Can it help you achieve the objective that you set out in your advocacy campaign? If not, then don't make it. Some possible very basic representations if you want of how you might use video for advocacy purposes in terms of strategy. So this is what we call vertical campaigning, where you as the advocate, or the person making the film, you makes a video, posts it online, and tries to convince whoever you're trying to make the change, a decision maker for example, to enact that change. That would be the simplest representation of video advocacy. You target someone with a video, they watch it, and they make the change. That doesn't happen very often, as you can probably imagine. It's a very simplistic view. When we talk about wanting to understand our audiences and making videos for our audiences, sometimes it's a bit more of a roundabout route to get to the goal that we want to do. This might be a slightly more realistic representation of how it works. You make a video, you post it online to an audience perhaps a strategic audience, and then they may further the advocacy efforts through different things, such as petitions, letters, things like that, calls, protests, sharing a video, speaking to their politicians. That's far more likely, and that can shape the way that you make videos. When thinking about the changes we're trying to make in our advocacy videos, it doesn't mean we need to make a video, we have to think of our audience as the president and make a video that we think the president's going to watch. No, we make a video that our audience will watch that will then filter in to further advocacy efforts to create change, bring around change. So that's, in terms of what we call vertical campaigning, probably a more realistic model of how it might work. We've also got something called what we call horizontal campaigning. And this is much more about the sort of thing that we've been talking about today. This is when you make a video, you post it, for example, online, and your audience sees it, and your goal is enacted because your goal is about changing behavior, about changing the narrative, etc. And this is very popular in disability activism right now for all of the reasons that we saw, for example, Catlin talk about in his presentation, and Jacqueline talk about in her presentation, about the simplistic, stereotypical representations of disabled people. So this sort of campaigning is changing the narrative, is growing in popularity amongst disability advocates and activists.
Mike, can I come in 1 second? Do you mind going back one slide?
Yep.
One extra thing to add on this image, which I think is so right. You have the person making the video, posting online to an audience, and then that is used as part of to push advocacy towards the decision maker. I've also seen great examples where then a second video can be used, which is the decision maker engaging with that advocacy that first started through the video. And the purpose of that second video is to now show the impact of the advocacy work, and that can now be shared out to other decision makers, other influential people, to show that your issue is something that is being taken attention of by the decision maker. Is it clear? Yes. Yeah? And this second video might also be something that you do not have to actually develop yourself. It might be that actually you invite the media to come to this part, right? And they actually video it, and now it becomes news. And now you're getting a free video out of that second step. So think as well about where you can use multiple opportunities there to kind of further build that attention, and also show publicly that there is attention to your issue. Sorry.
No, absolutely, please do feel free to chip in. I think another important point to mention as well is, again, this simplistic model that we see here, there may be other people to convince before the audience changes their mind, such as, for example, religious leaders or something like that. The audience may be influenced, if you want, by other impactful figures in society. So it's not always as simplistic as it looks, but these are helpful ways to think about how you might approach video strategy. Now, I just wanted to touch on representation. It's not my area of theoretical expertise, but I think it's important to mention that charities, NGOs, disability rights organisations, particularly Western ones, have played a crucial role in the representation of both African people and disabled people, and how, as a world, they are viewed. And it's important to remember that NGOs and charities, particularly those working in an international field, play an ever-increasing role in the news production process, the mainstream media. Okay? They shape the way, to a certain extent, that people view certain parts of the world. And that's given rise to things like what we call Afro-pessimism. This idea that Africa is this land devoid of hope. And that plays into our representations and our stereotypes that are so prevalent in this world. So if we're going to change stereotypes, just like those that we've discussed today, we need to be, as NGOs or disability rights organisations, doing it ourselves as well. We need to be the first to change the narrative. Some that have interested me in the UK, I think Catelyn earlier was talking about the stereotype of pity and the fact that disabled people require help, this idea. So Scope, which is a UK disability organisation, has a campaign called End the Awkward. And this is very much one of those horizontal campaigns aimed at changing behaviour and changing views, if you want. And the idea is that in the UK, there's this idea that people are very awkward around disabled people. They feel very sorry for them. They need to, you know, are you okay? Are you okay? Do you need my help? Do you need my help? And this idea that, that somehow disabled people are helpless. And so they wanted to do a campaign that changed the narrative, a horizontal campaign that changed the public's opinion about disabled people. So they made this video, I'm just going to show you.
If you were to ask any of my mates about me, hopefully they'd say I was a great mate, someone who loves his family, and not he's just that short bloke that you see on screen all the time.
I went out for lunch one day in between meetings. When the waiter came over, he asked me if I was capable of feeding myself. I told him politely that I've been feeding myself for quite a number of years now.
I wanted this one bartender come out behind the bar to take me order. She bent down and talked to me really slowly. Once she'd taken me order, she then patted me on the shoulder as if to make me feel better.
Doctors told me I'd never walk. Check where I am now.
I remember when I was out on the street once, I asked someone to give me directions, but instead of talking to me, they bent down and spoke to my guide dog instead. My guide dog is exceptionally well trained, but she's just not a sat-nav.
You get comments about my disability, or you know, they can get a little bit tiring. Some people think I've had an accident in the kitchen, maybe I chopped my hand off with this knife.
You do get some odd questions sometimes. So just to be clear, because I use a wheelchair doesn't mean I was in the Paralympics.
Sometimes when I'm out, people try and high-five me. Hey. You wouldn't just do that to anyone, would you?
I can't see my disability, so sometimes when I'm using disabled spaces, people take an unusual interest in me.
One of the things that's really awkward for me is when you're out, you're in a nightclub, you're having a great time, and then all of a sudden someone comes up and they grab you and they hug you and they go, oh, it's really good to see you getting out, mate, you're really brave. And then you're left covered in their lovely sweat from all their dancing. Lovely.
Any thoughts on that? That resonate with anyone? About that idea that disabled people somehow require pity? Okay, so some tips for
bigger.
Basic advocacy videos. Does anyone know this person, by the way? He's apparently he's quite a well-known Tanzanian disability advocate. No? Okay. Well, the idea is when we're doing our own advocacy videos, my strong suggestion is that we focus on simple efforts to produce powerful videos. And that means working on powerful personal stories. We all have access to powerful personal stories. We're not going to be producing videos that are technically Hollywood blockbusters. We're going to focus on simple, powerful stories. So good stories, what makes a good story? Good stories make us feel. They affect us emotionally. They make us change our view on the world. They are authentic, they avoid stereotypes, and they are relevant in the lives of their audience. And disability advocates tend to, generally, have access to very powerful stories. That does not mean that they all need to be sad stories. There are funny stories. There are stories that are sad for different reasons, apart from the fact that people are disabled. There are positive stories. There are lots of different ways in which we can tell a story about disability without it having to be very, very sad. And this is something that we've been exploring, this storytelling, in some work with AD and the AD Young Leaders over the last year or so. So I've been working with the previous 3 AD Young Leaders in the office, Daniel, Tahir and Doris, and we've been doing some video production lessons via Skype or via Zoom, which is kind of where this relationship between BU and AD started in the first place. The young leaders were tasked with making their own advocacy videos, and they chose to focus on horizontal campaigning, as in changing a narrative. And they decided that they wanted, ooh, we okay? Okay. Doris, Daniel, and Tahir decided that they wanted to make positive videos that focused on the talents of disabled people in this country. So they made films about talents, the sort of talents you might not expect, the sort of talents that change the narrative, etc. Okay? So, is Doris here? Where is she? Oh, do you want to come down, Doris? Are you able to join us? I was going to ask you a couple of questions. I'll come to you, it's fine. Okay, first of all, let's show some videos. So this is Daniel's video. Daniel got angry with me because I made it too short. But the task was for 1 minute, so I had to cut it off because we're talking about short, snappy videos. But this is Daniel's video, so let's watch Daniel's video first.
My name is Alois Vitalis Boto, a graduate student from the University of Dodoma, Bachelor of Science in Education. My subjects of specialization are physics and mathematics. Apart from teaching, I also have a talent of creative writing and scientific writing too. My journey with this talent started from primary school when I noticed that I had a good convincing power, especially when I had to write paragraphs or letters. My teachers appreciated my writings, and for that reason, I decided to think of it as something that could bring me fortune or something that I could use apart from my academic achievements.
Give a round of applause to Daniel for that video. I actually love that video. I really like it. Could I ask people's reaction to it? Do you feel that that was a positive framing? Do you think that it contributes to changing the narrative around disability? Yes. Good. Daniel, I'd like to ask you to just talk a little bit about your experience making that video and some of the challenges that you might have faced and how you overcame them.
Thank you, Mike. As you see, the video is very short because in social media thing we are aware. Let's say we have this habit of making short videos in order video to be creative and let's say interesting to the people who are watching. And the video was the chance to meet my fellow youth. This is our hospitalist bottle. Is a hearing impaired, same as me. So we did together our first degree in the University of Dodoma. And my friend here just got his, let's say, his talent in creative writings. So when it comes to the video, I thought maybe it would be good to take some experience from my friend there. So all youth disabilities can even learn from him because he's a hearing impairment, have his own ability of creative writing, you know, and then he can do everything in such kind of writing. So he's geared to learn. And during the video, yeah, I faced a lot of challenges, you know, making a video such kind, to look such kind of way, it's not an easy task. You see, we repeat again. You see, typing error sometimes. You see, so we repeat it a lot of times. But that guy is very smart. You see, so it wasn't such hard to record this video because I was having my equipment. There was a small one. Here I can show you. I was using this one. This one is a phone stand that I used to take this video. I also had a microphone here, so that's why the voice is very clear. So by using this equipment, I was able to record such kind of a video, and as you said, he someone supported me in editing, and the video is very, very, very good. So it's such kind of changing the narrative, because when you see this video, someone who has a hearing impairment can even be able to make his own writing. And last year he launched his first book. I think Madam Pembe were there, Dr. Pembe and Dr. Basela were there. They were very, very supportive of the man. And the book was very, very interesting. It's all about love, you see, so such kind of creative writing. So Dr. Pembe and Dr. Basela, can you even stand up please, so that people can see you? Yes, that's Dr. Pembe from University of Dodoma, and that one is Dr. Basela. Where are you? He's not here, he's out for what? So Dr. Pembe and Dr. Basela supported the man in launching his festival. So that's talent. We want you all to show such kind of a thing. Wherever you go, show the world what you're going to do. And that's how we change the narrative. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. We're going to watch Doris's video now. Now, what I didn't know before we started this is Doris is an expert pro basketball player. And so a lot of the training, a lot of the practice work that Doris did around making these social videos was around basketball. When it came to making the final film, because did a lot of practice shoots before we made the final films, if you see what I mean. When it came to producing the final film, Doris filmed her friend, who is in the room. Doris, is she here?
She's here.
She's here? The star of the film is here too? Yeah. Where is she? Put her hand up. This person. There she is. There we are. So we not only have the filmmaker, we have the star in the room, okay? I'm afraid this one, I do apologize for those who are hearing impaired. It is not subtitled. We didn't get time to subtitle it. But it is in Swahili. So we'll have a go with this one.
Kwa majina naitwa Lucy Julius Shirima, ni binti mwenye ulemavu wa viungo na ni mjasiriamali. Pia ni mchezaji wa tennis timu ya taifa ya walemavu Tanzania. Nimegundua kipaji changu 2007 kipindi niko darasa la kwanza shule ya Salvation Army pale. Kipindi naanza nilikuta wachezaji wakiwa wanacheza, kipindi hicho walikuwa darasa la 7 ndio wanamaliza. Baada hapo walipomaliza mchezo ule kama ulikuja kufa kwa sababu ule mwalimu pia alikuja kuhamishwa. Ni ukawa imeishia hapo, japo ni kitu ambacho nilikuwa nakipenda sana. Baadaye kipindi 2013 nimefika la 7 ndo mwisho tumalizia, akaja kocha Riziki na mzungu anaitwa Tony, wakawa wanatafuta wachezaji wa kucheza wheelchair tennis. Wakawa wamechukua wachezaji wa kiume tu wachache, lakini mimi nilinyosha mkono nikawaomba kwa sababu ni kitu ambacho nilikuwa nakipenda. Wakanipa nafasi, lakini nilipoenda nikajaribu kufanya vizuri, nikafanya vizuri wakaniona.
Now Doris. Oh, you have your microphone? Perfect. I wonder if you could, again, like Daniel, talk the room through some of your experiences in making that video.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. As Mike talked here, my task was to shoot my fellow colleague there, Ruth, who played wheelchair tennis. She participated in different games, both in nationwide and internationalized, but no one knows her. So we wanted to advocate for the sports to people with disability. So we decided to take a shoot to her. So my challenge was, sometimes I hold a camera while I'm using a crutches here. And as you see there, Ruth, while she plays, she has to move the wheelchair. So it was a big challenge for me to follow her during the video shooting. So what I decided there is to take a wheelchair, then to sit on wheelchair and to move faster. You know, I'm also engaging in a sport. I'm playing a wheelchair basketball. So it was easier for me to move the wheelchair fast and to stop it fast and to take a video. So that was my experience during the shooting.
Thank you so much, Doris. And that is a point I meant to make actually before I even showed some of these videos, is that it was a two-way learning experience. So these guys were learning some technical skills, but we were also learning about how to do video advocacy with certain disabilities as well. And so Doris on a really important point there around her fact that she struggled to hold the tripod at the same time as hold her crutch. And so she adapted. So there's learning for us all to do about video production for people with disabilities, that this project is helping us to come up with new ideas around that, which is really grateful for. Finally, do we have our star in the room for this one as well, Tahir? Yeah, we do. I thought so. You okay? Right, so this is Tahir's video. So there was 3 young leaders working on the program. Tahir was the third one. And Tahir, do you have the mic? Do you want to? Yeah, you're going to get the microphone. We're going to watch yours again. I do apologize, it doesn't have subtitles, but I'll play it now.
Jina langu naitwa Zena Isa Kuwa. Mimi ni mwanamke mwenye ulemavu wa viungo. Mimi ni mpambanaji na fani yangu ni upishi. Vile vile mimi ninafanya masuala ya kuelimisha wanawake na mabinti wenye ulemavu, na pia tunafundishana ujasiriamali kwa watu wenye ulemavu na wasio na ulemavu. Kipaji changu cha upishi kimeanzia katika familia yangu. Nimebarikiwa familia ambayo wana kipaji cha kupika, hususan mama yangu mzazi, na yeye ndo mtu wa kwanza aliyegundua kama ninaweza kupika, na akawa anajitahidi kuhakikisha nashiriki kazi zake za kupika za pale mtaani. Kwa hiyo nimekuwa nikiwa na kipaji hicho cha kupika, na mpaka nikaja nikapata fursa ya kujifundisha mapishi ya mataifa mengine. Hapo ndipo niliweza kuanza safari yangu sasa ya kuwa chef by profession.
Okay, round of applause, please. You keep it to Tahir. Okay, Tahir, your thoughts on your process of making that video, please.
Anyway, it's morning or afternoon. Good afternoon. Actually, I had a best experience in shooting this video. As you can see, I've shooted the videos from and then that one went out. So I had the best experience in shooting this video. And why I choose this guy, and it's because many in society, many people don't believe that persons with disabilities can be chefs. As you can see, because they have various impairments and they think that it's impossible for them to be able to cook a tasty food. And trust me, the star of the video is the best. She had the best food, and she has her own chef. She's cooking, she's accepting delivery, and orders from everywhere. So when I was shooting this video, one of the best thing I loved was like my star of the video tries to accommodate me. Despite of her disability, she managed to accommodate. As you can see, the kitchen. As you can see, the kitchen, the chef has to stand in order to cook. So as for her physical impairment, it was really hard for her to manage that shoot. But as you can see, we have managed to shoot it very clearly. And also for my side, one of the challenging experiences when I try to shoot the shoulder side. As you can see, when she's cooking, the smoke comes out. So it's like when you are trying to focus there and you're trying to limit the smokes not to ruin your video. Aside from that, the place was really hot, really, because there are many kitchens there. That's why it was a bit hard for me. As you can see, I'm a person that can release, I can say a place which is so very sunny, and we had to shoot around 12 p.m. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tahir. Thank you. Now, that's very interesting what you said. Did you learn, did you take alternative, you said you had to shoot at 12 o'clock, so that would be when the sun was hot. Would it be easier for you to film later in the day?
Would be easier if that person in my CTA, so she has to cook her own that same.
I see. Okay, thank you. So as we say, lessons being learned all the time about both the production process and the results. Anyway, absolutely loved making those videos with Tahir, Daniel, and Dory. So thank you so much for your help. And they're going to be helping us a little bit later as we go into our practical exercise. And we're going to move towards that now. I'm going to talk through some very basic skills, very basic technical skills for making campaign videos just like those guys have made, because that's our aim today, okay? First, I'm going to start with the essential kit that you need for this video. Now, the actual only really essential piece of kit is this thing here, is the phone. Because a couple of those videos were made just using the phone. They didn't even have the tripod. So the phone is the most important thing, and phones these days are like mini production studios in your pocket, if you're lucky. You know, they are all good cameras, and you can edit on most phones as well now if you have the right apps. The other two pieces of equipment I would say are essential kit if you can do it. The mainly essential kit is the phone, but if you can in any way get yourself a tripod like this, this is incredibly helpful because good video tends to be steady and not too wobbly. So if you can get yourself a tripod like this, or at least like Daniel's got there, a holder, which turns into a bit of a tripod, doesn't it, Daniel, as well? Like a selfie stick, then that's really important too. Some tripods you can buy also serve as a selfie stick. So you can buy a tripod which is also a selfie stick, so that when you're hand holding your camera, you can use it as a selfie stick, but when you're doing, for example, an interview or recording someone speaking, you can put it on the floor like that. So these tripods are really, really helpful if you can find one. The other main thing I would suggest, and this is all, you know, not breaking the bank expensive, it is expensive, but not too bad, are these microphones. They're called lapel microphones. They fit into the headphone socket of a phone. They clip onto the collar, and they make your interview sound so much better if you can use them. So microphone, phone, and tripod are what I would call the nearly essential pieces of kit, while the phone itself is the essential piece of kit. However, if you don't want to, or you can't buy a microphone, then these, as long as they've got this little white box on them, which is the microphone for your headphones, will do the job. So if you want to speak into your camera, you plug these into your normal headphones, as long as they've got this little thing here, then you can plug them in. You can even, if you're quite clever, tape this inside your collar, and it can just stay there and act as a microphone, just like a lapel microphone would as well. So these will work, okay? It's essential kit. How to film. We're just going to go through 9 or 10 little tips for making effective smartphone videos, okay? The first one here, hold your phone sideways. It's not always essential. You can see that 2 of those were vertical videos, but it tends to work best if you hold your phone sideways because the content that you produce will be usable on more platforms. You can't use a vertical video on a sideways platform, but you can make a sideways video into a vertical video, if that makes sense, okay? So different platforms, like Instagram, for example, may prefer vertical filming, whereas YouTube would prefer sideways filming. So if you're in doubt, hold your phone sideways. That's the first lesson number 1. Keep your phone steady. So we've talked about the tripod. There are other ways to keep your phone steady if you need to. I will demonstrate one here. There you go. That phone is now steady. If I was to do an interview with somebody sat down near this table, that would do the job. Simple, but it's the best way of keeping good video is steady video. Now, if you can't find a surface or you can't find a tripod, the next best thing is something like this. Like this. Put your elbows into your body and hold the phone, and you become almost like a human tripod. You see what I mean? Don't look very good. Look at this. It'll work. That will make your video a bit steadier if you do that like that.
But it's not easy.
It's not easy. You're absolutely right. It's not easy. Yeah. Lighting. Lighting's really important in video production, okay? So especially in parts of Africa where the sun is so bright, okay? So this is worth bearing in mind, okay? The best kind of approach to take to lighting is make sure that the sun is shining onto the face of the person that you are filming. do not film somebody with the sun bright behind them. Because when you're using a phone, it will adapt the settings and the face will look very dark and the background will look very bright. And you won't be able to pick out the features on people's face. So your best way is to have the sun shining on to the people that you're filming. So have the sun behind you as you point your camera, okay? The rule of thirds is about how you frame people when you're doing an interview with people. So some people in the news, you're probably used to something like this. So you're framing people to one side of the picture, with a space to the other side, with something happening in the background normally. Okay, and that adds depth to your picture and it allows you to put a context into the interview that you're filming. So consider the rule of thirds, and the way that works is essentially you divide your phone screen, and some phone screens even come with a setting that you can put this onto the phone screen, into thirds, both horizontally and vertically. If the eyes of the person that you're filming are on the meeting of a horizontal and vertical line on one side, then you will be adhering to the rule of thirds, which tends to be very good, especially when you're filming horizontally for video interview framing. Don't worry, I'll make all of these tips available. You don't have to remember them all. Find a quiet spot to do your interviews, particularly, very much so, if you're not using a microphone or headphone microphone. It's absolutely critical because phones, all phones, and by the way, you don't need a really snazzy smartphone for this, but all smartphones tend to have what you call multi-directional microphones, and that means that they pick up sound coming from everywhere, which means your voice might not necessarily be any louder than the cars on the road, on the road that you're stood beside. So if you can't use a microphone, you must go somewhere quiet to film your interview and keep that phone nice and close to the person that you're interviewing, else the sound will not be good enough for your interview. You won't be able to hear them. Another quirk of a phone camera compared to a normal production camera is that when you zoom using a phone camera, all you essentially do when you do that to blow up the image is make the image bigger. You don't zoom your camera any closer. And that normally makes the image of a lower quality. If you zoom like this, we've all done it, haven't we? When we've zoomed somewhere from a long way away, and then when you actually look at the photo or the video, it's really blurry. So what you need to do with phone cameras is actually move closer to the person or to the thing that you're filming. Mobile, so move closer to the thing that you're filming and actually put your camera close to the subject, okay? It's really important, that one. This is where it gets slightly more complicated. Everything so far has been pretty simple. This one's slightly more complicated, and this is what we're going to practice today. So shoot using simple sequences. Now, you remember in Daniel's and Doris's videos there, we saw the young student or the young teacher speaking, and then we saw him doing some work at his desk. As he was speaking, we played that over the shots of him speaking. Now, that's called a video sequence. A video sequence is something that shows an act unfolding from a variety of different perspectives. So we had, for example, a shot of his hands. We had a shot of his face. We had a shot over the shoulder. All of those were put together to make it look like it was one action, but it was actually filmed 5 times with the same camera. It wasn't 5 cameras looking at him at the same time. It was 5 shots filmed 5 times and put together to make it look like it was all happening at the same time.
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah.
Can you have one of the young leader speak?
Sure, yeah. Yes, do you want to do that, Tahir? Explain it.
Yes, what's it?
That's what I mean, yeah. Good.
According to your experience, okay. Hapa Mike alikuwa anajaribu kuelezea jinsi ya kushoot video. Cha kwanza nilichosema cha kwanza, kabla hujaanza kushoot video, unatakiwa uchague sehemu ambayo ina light. Yaani mwanga. Sehemu ambayo ina mwanga. Na kama unataka kumshoot, naomba niseme kama nataka kumshoot hapa Francis. Kama mfano tunashoot nje sehemu ambayo kuna jua labda saa 8, utakiwa kuchukua video yake wakati jua limekaa nyuma yake. Yaani jua linatakiwa limgonge hapa usoni, kwa sababu ndo pale ndo mwanga unaweza ukafanyaje ukajionyesha. Na pia katika sehemu ya kuchagua sehemu ambayo imetulia, ni kwamba moja ya changamoto ambayo mimi nilipata sehemu ambayo imetulia, ila sauti za ndege zilikuwa zinaniathiri, zinaathiri video yangu, kwa sababu unaweza kupata sehemu hamna movement za watu, ila kuna zile sauti za nje ambazo unajua kama kunguru vile wanapita, alafu ukiwa unatumia microphone, hata zile sauti za kunguru zinaingia pale, zinaakisi. Kwa hiyo unatakiwa utafute sehemu hata ndege wale tu wenyewe wasikusumbue, despite of kuwa na sauti za watu au movement za magari na vitu vingine. Kingine ni kwamba alichozungumzia kizuri zaidi ni kwamba katika unashoot video ni vizuri zaidi kuchukua simu yako usio umeishika hivi. Kama unatumia simu usio umeishika hivi, yani usisimamishe, kwa sababu ukitumia simu ukichukua video wakati simu umesimamisha hivi, ni rahisi sana inachagua some of the platform kushare, kama some of the platform yani inachagua katika kushare, kusambaza katika baadhi ya maeneo. Yani kama mfano unaweza kusema, unajua kama TikTok wengi simnayo, TikTok wanatumia vertical hivi kwa kusimamisha. Zile inaweza ikashare, ila kwa video labda ya TikTok unaweza ukaamua labda kuiposti labda IG au Snap, inaweza ika-affect, kwa sababu watu wengine wanapenda kuchukua video zao hivi, simu umeilaza horizontal. Kwa hiyo inashauriwa kuchukua video ukiwa umelaza hivi simu. Na pia the object ambaye yule unayemchukua video yule anatakiwa asikae katikati. Yani ili video yako iwe nzuri zaidi, unaweza akakaa sideways. Either upande unaipa video nafasi. Yani asikae vile katikati, inawezekana mtu akiamua kucrop inakuwa ni ngumu zaidi. Ni bora akae kwa upande. Kingine ambacho nimesahau, sequence. Video. Sasa ukitaka let's say labda unataka kushoot story moja unataka kuchukua video moja unataka story moja katika video ya dakika moja. Kwa hiyo unachofanya wewe unatakiwa ufuatilie hizi sequence. Kwanza kuna sequence ya kwanza ambayo ni closure to the face, karibu, yani unachukua ile, kama mfano hapa mimi nataka kumchukua Francis. Kwa hiyo na maana kwa Francis, sequence ya kwanza ni kwamba nitajaribu kuchukua hivi, yani karibu uso wake uwe clear, uonekane vizuri.
This is a sequence, okay? So, shot one, yeah? A shot of Tahir. You're going to drink this water bottle, Tahir. Okay. I will film Tahir take the drink one time in what we call a wide shot, okay? Shot one, a wide shot. I have my phone here. This girl is playing the piano. Tahir is drinking her drink, okay? But I'm getting one shot. I'm going to press record on the phone. I'm going to leave it for 10 seconds, and I'm going to press record again. I have my first shot. So you explain that.
Hi. Tunaanza mfululizo wa matukio ya video ya dakika moja. Alichoonyesha hapa Mike, anataka kuchukua video yangu mimi mfano la kunywa maji. Kwa hiyo vidani ya kwanza ni wide shot, amesema kwa Kiingereza, ila ni kama general. Unachukua muonekano wa jumla wa video yako. Ila inatakiwa ile sequence iwe ya sekunde 10. Kwa hiyo ina maana kama mfano ukitumia hii tripod umesimamisha hapa hivi, unatakiwa sasa, kama umechagua sasa ile object yako ikae hapa kwa upande. Let's say kama mimi ndo nimekaa hapo na kunywa maji. Hapo ina maana ukishachukua ile wide shot tunaangalia range na ukubwa wa kwa ukubwa gani unataka kuchukua ile video yako. Ukishaipress simu imetulia hivi, unabonyeza, unachukua kama mfano ule ambapo ile action yote ya kwangu mimi unakuwa umeichukua. So what's up with Swahili?
Okay. We'll get that, don't worry. Shot 2, close up of the face. Exactly the same again. Doris Tahir takes a drink. I film it again. I film the same thing each time. Her going like this, right? So first one, I filmed it as a wide shot, like the shot we just saw. The second time, I film her do it again, but close up on her face like this.
Mfululizo wa pili kwa sababu umeshachukua ule wa moja kwa ujumla wa kusema kama inaonekana tukio kuna mtu anafanya kitu fulani. Ila ya pili ni kwamba unatakiwa uikaribie ile object ambayo unaifanya no kama closure to the face. Kama unamchukua mtu, ina maana unamfuata kwa karibu hapa ili uso wake uonekane clear na kile kitendo ambacho anakifanya. Si nimeeleweka?
Okay. Shot 3.
Hii shot ya tatu ni kwamba unachukua ile action, kile kitendo cha mtu anafanya. Kama mfano mimi hapa ningekuwa nakunywa maji hivi. Kwa hiyo wewe unaichukua video, unakuja record hizi movement zangu za mikono, sinakunywa maji. Kwa hiyo unakuja unafuata mkono wangu hapa ulipo, una record hivi. Nakunywa maji na shusha. Yaani zile movements za mikono. Unanifanyia makusudi.
Sorry, kila tane tunafahamu kwamba kila neno kwa Kiswahili nikuulize kana kweli antia ile watoto kwa na Mungu.
Shot 4, final shot. What the person sees. So over the shoulder. Like this. Yep.
Hii shot ya 4 ni unachukua sasa nyuma ya ule mtu unayemshoot. Kama inakuwa inashauriwa sana usije ukasimama katikati yake, ili kama mfano mimi ningekuwa hapa kwa Francis, nisingesimama hapa katikati nikamshoot. Unasogea kidogo upande, ni kama hapa kwenye bega. Unaweza ukaweka hivi ili ionekane muonekano wa kule kwa nyuma yule mtu anafanya nini pale kwa mbele. Kwa mfano kama katika video ya Dani imeonekana, nadhani mmeona hii shot kwenye video ya Dani. Yule mtaka alikuwa ana type kwenye laptop. Kwa hiyo ina maana akija ile shoot ya pale anaipataje? Kwa kuja hapa kwenye mabega. Anakuja hapa ana shoot, inaonekana ile movement ya pale anayofanya ni ana type kwenye laptop, lakini inaonekana kile anacho type pale ni nini. Kwa sababu ukikaa kwa mbele huwezi kujua kwa mtu anaye type ana type nini. Ukija kwa hapa nyuma una view ile action yake kabisa, na inaweza ikaonekana kabisa na kile kitu pale anacho type. Kwa hiyo ni hapa sideways.
Okay, so yes, then.
Yeah. Tuelewane kidogo, nasikia kuna malalamiko ya Kiswahili, Kiingereza, Kiingereza, mimi ndio ongea Kisukuma sasa ili tuelewane vizuri. Tulikuwa tunaongelea kuhusiana na sequencing. Sasa sequencing ni namna gani unapanga matukio ambayo yaendelea muda ambao wewe unakuwa una shoot ile video. Kwamba namna gani unakuwa unapanga, kwa sababu hauwezi kuchukua vitu vyote kwa wakati mmoja. Sasa namna gani unakuwa unachukua vitu vile taratibu katika matukio, ili namna ya kuja kuedit unakuwa unayapanga matukio yako katika mfuatano mzuri. Ndio maana ya sequencing. Kwa hiyo unapomchukua mtu wa sport unakuwa unamshoot, labda anaongea, unamfanyia interview, lazima urudi uangalie activity anayoifanya. Mfano kwenye video yangu mimi, huyu kijana ambaye ni kiziwi alikuwa anaandika vitabu. Kwa hiyo kama umeweza kuona kwamba kuna video hivi uliokuwa nyuma, anafanya activity ya kutype ya maneno ambayo alikuwa ameandika kwenye diary. Kuna video imefanyika vile anakuwa anaandika kwa kutumia kalamu na notebook yake. Inamaanisha unaonyesha mikono kwa activity sawa na hivyo. Inamaanisha hizo activity ndogo ndogo zinakupa wewe mfuatano wa kitendo ambacho kinakuwa kinaendelea. Video inakuwa haivutii kwamba muda wote mtu anaongea, hapana. Lazima tuchanganye matukio yanayoendelea. Inamaanisha mtu anaweza kuona kwamba huyu mtu anaongea na ni kweli ana uwezo wa kuweza kufanya kitu fulani. Hiyo ndio sequencing ambayo tunaongea. Kwa hiyo mambo mengine yasiwachanganye sana, ila hivi vitu ni muhimu sana ili kuweza kuunganisha video ambayo inakuwa tunasema ina maana ya moja kwa moja. Ninaposema mtu anacheza netball inamaanisha nini? Mtu anacheza netball anaongea tu mimi naitwa fulani nacheza netball, mwisho imeisha. Uwezo kuelewa. Lakini kama mtu anacheza netball kuna vitu vinaonyesha ana dribble namna gani, anaweza akafunga, akafanya hivi, akafanya mazoezi, akafanya nini zake. Inamaanisha video inakuwa ni fupi, maneno yake yanaendelea. Vile vile unaweza kuelewa vitu ambavyo vinakuwa vinaendelea. Hiyo ndio maana super.
Thank you, Daniel. Right, so basically the idea now is that you guys are going to make your own videos. So we're going to go out and we're going to film some videos, hopefully like Daniel and Doris and Tahir's videos, okay? They're going to be a little bit shorter because you haven't had the weeks of training that they've had, right? You've had an hour of training. So you're going to film a 30-second clip. A 30-second clip, a 30-second shot of somebody explaining why disability advocacy is so important to them. So that's 30 seconds. So you set up your tripod, you film somebody talking for 30 seconds, explaining in 30 seconds and only 30 seconds why disability advocacy is so important to them. Then you film 4 more shots. The wide shot, the mid shot, sorry, the wide shot, the close-up of the hands, the close-up of the face, and the over-the-shoulder shot of that same person doing something. Could be taking a drink, could be on the computer, could be writing in a book, anything. And then you send me those shots. So you'll have 5 shots to send me in total, 4 sequence shots and an interview clip. And we'll put them together and we'll watch a few later in the day to see how we got on. Okay, so we're gonna make some advocacy videos today. I have 2 videos to show from the work that the youth did yesterday on their videos. You'll remember that the task was a basic technical task. It was to produce a video of one of your team colleagues speaking for 30 seconds around why they think disability advocacy is so important. And then to shoot a few pictures just to go over the top of that video to practice having the technique of making a video sequence. So, let's watch our first video now.
Jina langu naitwa Zena Akua, mimi ni chef, na faida ya uchechemuzi mojawapo ni inamsaidia mtu mwenye ulemavu kuweza kukubalika na jamii, kuweza kufanya kazi ambayo ina staha, kuweza kumpa uwezo wa kubadilisha tamaduni ambayo inamzunguka, hususan katika masuala ya sera. Pia inawasaidia watu wenye ulemavu kuweza kujua haki zao na kujua mipaka yao na wapi watapata msaada wa kisheria pale ambapo wanahitajika kupata msaada.
There we go, a round of applause. That's a really nice piece of editing to start with, so well done there. I thought that the shots were excellently done, the sequence, but it did demonstrate the importance of using a microphone. A microphone wasn't used, and remember we talked about how phones pick up the sound from all different directions, and it was quite a noisy room. Remember we talked about, if you're going to do an interview without a microphone, you need to go to a very quiet place, because all that noise meant that we couldn't really hear what she was saying. Luckily we had the subtitles. So, you had a microphone, so use a microphone whenever you can. If not, go to a really quiet place, okay? So, I'm going to play the second one.
My name is Fakihat Omar. I'm from Zanzibar, from Organization of Women with Disability, and I have multi-disability. Why is it important of disability advocacy? It's because our voices can be heard and we can have a positive impacting positive changes in our lives, in the lives of our community.
Yes, excellent. I don't really have any feedback, I kind of criticize that one. I just think it's absolutely brilliant from a technical perspective and the message that was received. So well done that group, and well done our superstar. I will try to edit some more so that I can share them with you. But yes, thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to make those videos with you, and on for the rest of the session, Dan.